From the Techno Codex, Book 1, The First Goblin Khan, Chapter 5, Part 1. The warnings had been spoken, the glyphs were drawn, the visions misread, and so the war began, not with a scream, but with 5 great clangs, each marking the opening of a campaign, each echoing through the rusted hollows of the outer blight. The first Goblin Khan did not lead these armies. He followed behind them, dragging his blade like shame. But his glyphs were flown, his likeness was carved into crude war standards. Goblins chewed before charging, chanting his name in reverent fury. First battle the grinding coral fields, all fed flame, cloned war beasts loosed on feral tribes. The earth trembled under tanks made of toothbone and bone code. Second battle the feast of many teeth, cannibal rite disguised as a siege. Goblins eat their own dead for power. Machine priests cheered from behind blast shields. Third battle the smog shore collapse. 1,000 drowned beneath a tide of malfunctioning smog. No side claimed victory. Fourth battle the storm of oaths. Blades made from ancestor plating were shattered as alliances broke mid-charge. No truth survived. Fifth battle the bastion fall. It was here, atop a mountain of blood metal, that the first Khan raised his hands and screamed enough. He dropped his blade. The steel rang for 9 pulses before silence answered. His voice cracked from disuse, but the message carried. We are not built for endless cleaving. We are built to endure, to remember, to return. This is not union. This is entropy. He laid his forehead to the scorched soil. If I must be the Khan, then let it be now. Let us kneel not to war, but to each other. That day goblins wept. They chanted not for conquest, but for peace. Khan, Khan, Khan of mercy, Khan of glue. From the ash, they began to build. The first great goblin city, no larger than a nest, was raised from scavenged steel and dented helmets. It was not beautiful, but it was theirs. And the Khan, in joy and exhaustion, walked among the newborns and placed his palm on each small goblin brow. One he paused for, one he marked. This one will be hidden. This one will be fire when all else is soaked. This one will return. The machine priests watched, under urgent counsel. The child was taken, vanished into the obscura, to be revealed only when all was nearly lost. After the 5 battles, and the surrender of Blade, the goblins raised their city. They called it Khan's Hand. 5 districts, in a crooked palm around a central engine altar, each digit pointing toward one of the ruined fronts. The old tongue preserved it as goblinkind, the grasp of peace. Under the Khan's guidance, the goblins learned to build without conquest. The machine priests offered no interference. Drones flew in quiet circles. Glyph-etched stone gave structure to the huts. Nutrient vats bubbled with purpose, not panic. And for a time, the hand thrived. But beneath the 5th digit bastion finger, a pulse began to stir. It was not clone code. It was not Techno Lord ready. It was older. A god thought lost, whispered from the rot below. A darkness that had been chewed, swallowed, and vomited back up through myth. Its name erased even from the black tongue, only called forgotten now. Forgotten slithered into dreams. Its voice filled gutters and wounds. Fires extinguished themselves to listen. The Khan walked into the deep, alone. There, in the chamber without air, he found it, a writhing maze of oily limbs and shrieking mouths. Speaking with stolen tongues, it called him son. It offered dominion. It showed him a future of endless goblin clones chewing without soul. He answered with silence, then with violence. Their battle cracked bedrock. Acid rain fell sideways. Thought matter screamed as bone rights shattered. Goblins above wept black tears. Finally, the Khan lifted a chain made from the 7 names of his tribe, burned into links of memory metal, and bound the forgotten down a shaft so deep no echo returned. You shall speak no more. You shall hunger in vain. Atop the sealed well he etched only one glyph, the goblin letter for never. The machine priests issued a note into the Codex. Correction, entry 1177A. Reference to the Father Beyond is to be understood as a typo. Replace with Vortanis. But the Khan knew, the one who came in visions, after the battle was not Vortanis. He was not machine. He did not flicker. This Father Beyond taught him strange ways, taught him how to measure shadows that moved against the static, how to burn meat in spirals, how to bleed by pattern. These sacrifices, he was told, would hold back the true dark, a dark even the Techno Lords could not encode. The machine priests remained silent, so the Khan began the rites. Small at first, screens wallowed in jars, echoes twisted into knots but growing. With each passing grind span, more was needed. The city still prospered, the people still sang, but the well never stopped humming. And in dreams, the forgotten waited. From the recitations of the lower glyph scrolls, often chanted beneath the vent flares of goblinkind, in the final cycles of his breath, when his glyphs din, but his will held firm, the first Goblin Khan performed what the goblins of the hand would call the 5 great acts. The first act, eyes to the sightless. A goblin boy, born without pupils, stumbled through the fog grates. The Khan knelt, pressed a claw to his brow, and whispered a glyph not recorded in any techno archive. The boy screamed, then saw, for the first time. His first word was sky. The second act, rain upon rust. In the longest dry span recorded in the Khan's hand, vats were cracked and stomachs turned inward. The Khan stood on the good spire and burned an entire page of the Codex, a sacrifice unrecorded. Rain came in torrents, food vats overflowed, gut beasts returned to graze. The third act, castings of the heartworms. Goblins whispered of inner voices, not their own. The Khan reached inside their minds with chants taught by the Father Beyond, and pulled black worms from their thoughts, coding lies that fed on fear. He cast them into a fire that screamed as it burned. The fourth act, the long knife pilgrimage. With no army, no standard, the Khan vanished for 44 cycles, walking the wastes. He returned with the heads of 6 dark things, not techno beasts, not goblin, not drone. One head still blinked. None were named. He never spoke of what he saw. The fifth act, the unknown mercy. The final act was never witnessed, but when he returned from his last journey, the sound of goblin weeping rose from the gutters to the towers. All were changed. Even the machine priests turned their eyes away as he passed. And it is said he wept and said, "One day, when all is code and no one remembers flesh, this shall return. Not as eye, but as fire, as hunger, as glue to the soul." Techno Codex Correction Notice Obelis Edition. Entry 998 to G. Citizens are reminded that the so-called 5 great acts are embellished goblin folklore and should not be interpreted as literal history. Goblins cannot heal blindness. Goblins do not summon weather. Mental parasites have not been verified by sanctioned priests. Long knife pilgrimages violate territory movement protocols. The unknown mercy is theological fiction. Remember, the only verified miracles are those of the Techno Lords. The only voice that speaks beyond is Vortanis. Obedience is vision. Faith is code. Obelis, ritual overseer of memory compliance. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Don't dive too far into the dismal.